And we have continued to read on, and we are addressing the second pillar within the perception section of The Obstacle is the Way with Ryan, not with, by Ryan Holiday. And this pillar for us to use to overcome obstacles is called Recognize Your Power. So we're actually going to mix things up a little bit here, and we're going to tell a little bit of a story as prefaced by Ryan. So, how would you respond to the following? So, you are at the height of your career and life is so good, you have no worries in the world, and you are just loving, you're kicking ass, taking names. And then one night you go out with your friends. Nothing crazy happens because these are trustworthy friends. However, at 3 in the morning, the cops show up. You're accused and then arrested for a triple homicide. You go to court, and then you are falsely accused of this crime, which leads to 3 life sentences. So you go from being at the top of Everest to completely altering where you are, how you live your life. And essentially, you could say that your life is over as you know it. Or is it? This episode, we are discovering a story that actually happened to Rubin Hurricane Carter, a famous boxer in the 1960s. Through his life, or though his life had completely been altered, his response towards these events is what we'll be spending time on and studying. So, again, we probably are not going to face a situation like that in life. Fingers crossed, hopefully. I don't know. But this is a real case study of someone that was on top of their career, that was falsely accused, and basically completely shut out for the rest of their life, and how they saw the obstacle and leveraged this recognizing your power to respond to this successfully. So first off, as Reuben entered the prison, he had to meet with the guards and the warden. And this is maybe not normal for normal prisoners, but he is a famous boxing champion, so he might have been earned this opportunity. He came into them and he said, I know you had nothing to do with this injustice that brought me to jail. So I'm willing to stay here until I get out. But I will not be treated like a prisoner because I'm not a prisoner. I am not, and I never will be powerless. So you have this whole catastrophe of things happen to you, and you're falsely accused. Obviously, there's a lot of emotional things that go on with that. And yet he has the fortitude mentally to come in and speak to the top dog at the prison and say, basically, I'm not blaming you guys for this. But first off, to say, I'm willing to stay here until I get out. So he had kind of manifested that. But I won't be treated like somebody who had actually done this because I didn't. And so that's where we can really kind of set the tone to what we're going to be learning today. So, our perception is a funny thing. As we encounter situations, we try to make sense of everything, and we come away with an idea of how we perceived that specific event and how it went. Yet, our perception can be separate from reality of what actually happened. We decide what we will make of each situation, and no one can force us to give up or to believe something that is untrue. We are in complete control of our perception. So, not only do we build off of the former chapter of disciplining our perception to kind of see reality as it is and learn from obstacles as they come up, we also have this understanding that when we're really kind of deliberately bought into a situation and know what is true is what is true. Now, granted, this has to actually be true, as it was for Reuben. We have this ability in our mind to say, no matter what you're going to do to me, I'm going to mentally say, you know what, I'm not going to let this get to me, and I'm going to make the best of this obstacle, and even manifest as Reuben did to say, I'm going to get out of this situation too. And so we are in complete control of the ability to have that mental toughness. So, like Reuben, they can throw us in jail, but they can never control our actual thinking and our thoughts, our beliefs and our reactions. We are never powerless. And that's kind of the huge pillar to understand here, is that no matter if we're going to the concentration camps, as they had back in World War II, or this situation or something just terrible that we don't see the outcome or the end, we always have control of a handful of things, and that is our thoughts, our beliefs, and our reactions. Whether we feel that way or not, we are truly in control of all of that. And so people will try to take that power away from you if you let them. They'll try to get in your mind. They'll try to tell you what to believe. They'll try to say, no, this is the way it is. When in reality, that is the one thing that you can continue to build on and fortify and really kind of marinate on, is that just toughness of thought, belief, and action and reaction. Rubin made a choice. This event and circumstance can't harm me. It is extremely frustrating that it happened, yet I decide how it affects me. No one else has the right to decide that. So, again, just kind of a monstrous comment and statement from him saying, hey, I know and recognize what happened to me was completely unjust. It's extremely frustrating, and these events are like coming at me like crazy, but they can't harm me mentally. And I decide how it affects me, and no one has the right to tell me otherwise. And I just love the confidence there, and I love just the mental strength of being able to recognize your power no matter what. And then here is a quote here as we're just kind of getting wrapped up on this pillar. Shakespeare said, "Nothing is good or bad, but it is our thinking that makes it so." So even though he could have blamed people and he could have kind of thrown this kind of societal and governmental thing like, oh, everyone hates me, they're trying to come after me, he said, you know what? No, this is not going to affect me. I'm going to decide how it affects me. And really kind of to go back to Shakespeare a little bit, it's really just even we're in the worst circumstances, we can still think of how something is kind of affecting us, which is really, really powerful. Let me flip over here. Okay. So we'll be rounding out recognizing your power. This is how obstacles become obstacles itself. In other words, through our perception of events, we are complicit on the creation as well as the destruction of every one of our obstacles. I'm sorry, that was a little confusing. I'll go back. So, in other words, our perception of the events is what is created by us, as well as the destruction of our obstacles themselves. We decide what story to tell ourselves, and this, ladies and gentlemen, is the welcoming to the power of perception. So, really, what this is saying is that events are going to be as they are, right? Life is what it is. However, our perception of those events really is what we can cultivate to tell the story of ourselves, to how to recognize our power and maintain our power and tackle obstacles successfully. So, first one's been a banger. Second one's been a banger. Hopefully you guys read this and had an enjoyment of it. Let's get to the next pillar.